that are supposed to be on this call with us. And I'm going to do it right now. You might get another invite.
Okay.
Sent them all out to let people know that we're doing this now. It's happening. It is happening, even though I wasn't sure. This Google Hangout thing really is, it's beyond me. I have tried this twice now, and it doesn't seem to want to play along with me, and I don't know why. I use Google for everything, and I don't understand why Google is so against allowing me to use Hangout. I guess I'm gonna just give it a minute and see if we get other people on here, and then we'll just get started. Really, it's beyond me.
Oh, that's creepy.
I know. Is it giving you like a big delay?
Yeah. Or it was for a minute, and I think I killed that, but oh no.
That was weird.
Yeah, I asked some young people about this thing, and none of them know anything about it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I use Skype for work most of the time. I've been trying to use this because it allows you to keep things, together, and there's like Q&A and all these handy tools and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like I'm still maybe doing this. I'm not sure if I'm still probably doing it wrong. I don't know. I can't be trusted with technology, apparently.
Me either.
Well, I thought that I don't know what's happening, Drew. We're just gonna wing it and see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. I think we're doing it right. I mean, we can see each other, so that's one thing. I invited other people. I don't know if anybody has joined in yet. I can't tell. I don't see anyone yet. How would one even know?
I don't know. Yeah, I went ahead and joined again, and it told me I'm already in. Okay, I don't know.
Okay, well, I mean, we're in this together. So I'm going to go ahead and get my little thing up here so I can talk through some of the tips and tricks and stuff for Why I Told that's coming up. I'm so glad you're going to be able to be a part of it this year.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I never know what I'm thinking.
It's better that way.
It's better. Yeah, it's always better that way. I support that. If you think about it too much, then, things just don't happen. So,
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, no, I think way too much.
Well, I mean, yeah, sometimes we do overthink things too, and that doesn't help. But I guess I'll go ahead and start going through this thing and see if there's, I see it says we have 3 new viewers. If everyone would just type into their little chat box and say hello so I know who you are, that would be great. So I know.
There's some weird thing where it loads us onto YouTube or something.
Yeah, that's why that's why I'm like, am I doing this right? Because I don't know, but it's supposed to load it onto YouTube so I can send it and we can use it again for people who can't participate. But I probably won't do that because for a lot of reasons. But we have like 10 minutes of me and you just sitting here talking about how I don't know how to use Google Hangout, so it's probably not the best. Best video to like re-upload to help people figure it out. So does everybody see the chat box? I'm going to type into something just to make sure people can see it. Yes, please say hello if you're in here so we can get started. There's like 3 people in here and I don't know who those people are.
Oh yeah, it looks like there's 3 people watching the YouTube video,
Yeah.
which is uploading automatically, I think.
All right, well, we're going to get started. We'll see what happens. So,
Oh yeah, okay, so someone named Jane Smith is here and can hear us both, but doesn't have a camera and mic.
oh, okay. Well,
So I think
that's
she's
cool.
watching us on YouTube.
Maybe we'll get YouTube famous.
Maybe.
So welcome, Jane. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know I keep saying that, but welcome to the Google Hangout for Why I Told. This is coming up this week on October 21st. It's the second year I've hosted an online collaborative storytelling event for survivors of sexual trauma. I'm really very happy to do it again. I wasn't sure if I was going to, but last year was such a powerful experience that I just felt like it needed to happen again. And thanks to the Facebook reminders that now tell me what I was doing, 5 years ago on this date, reminded me of the anniversary of my father's death and the year of silence that followed, and then when I disclosed. And so I just thought, that deserves a celebration of some kind of solidarity every year. So here we are again, year 2. And for those of you who don't know how it works, basically we take to our social media channels to tell our story of speaking out for the first time. And that's why it's called Why I Told. I think there's a disconnect sometimes for the world, really, for people who are not survivors, who don't understand why we wouldn't say anything. There's the whole victim blaming aspect of it, and then also what inspires us to tell, which would be safety and security and knowing that we're going to be heard and listened to and supported. So the first thing I'm going to say, I sent out a PDF of all of the information. If you have not registered, you can always just send me a message or email me at tashmicatorok@gmail.com, and I'll send you out the PDF so you have that. And that'll give you some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today. But the first thing I'm going to say before we embark on this trip, this journey, is make sure that you have a support system. It doesn't have to be a lot of people. It can just be one person that you say to them, I'm participating in this event. I'm going to be telling a story very vulnerably, that's a word, and I might need you on my side. I might need you in my corner. And that is for several reasons. For me, it was because I got a little anxious on the day of the event because I was so worried that you would not be met with support, that I was like scrolling all day. I was reading every single post. I was like, and just a little hyper vigilant on your behalf because I was worried that I had encouraged all of you to share your stories, that I somehow put you in danger. And my husband was like, I am going to remove you from this laptop because you are becoming a danger to yourself, because I was trying to control the outcome, which I don't have any control over that. So even if it's just someone to take you for a walk around the block, or someone who will make you a lunch if you've forgotten to eat because you've gotten so wrapped up in your own emotions, someone who will just provide that safe space for you, and check in with you during the day to make sure that you're doing okay, and the day after, to see how you're feeling after. You need someone in your corner. So I would suggest that before you start on the 21st, now, as of today, I would suggest that you reach out to that person who is going to be the one in your corner while you participate in this event. In the PDF, I've also included a couple of resources. RAIN.org and the firecrackerfoundation.org/resources, a bunch of different crisis lines. It's really easy during this event to trigger yourself. You'll read other people's stories that might really trigger something in you. You'll write something maybe for the first time, and sometimes you admit things that you didn't even know were in you that were waiting to be shared, and sometimes that can be unsettling. And so I want you to know that even if you don't have that person in your corner right now in the moment, or the support that you need, that you can call a crisis line and someone will be there to answer the phone and listen to you and help you, just walk you through some of the emotions that might come up during this event. Now, having said all of that, I don't want you to think that this does not have to be, this is not necessarily a painful experience. It can be very empowering. I find it to be very empowering. For me, telling my story feels like an act of defiance. And every time I tell a little bit of my story, it feels very much like I'm taking a piece of myself back. But that's how it feels for me, and that's not how it always feels for other people. And so I just want you to be very careful with yourself and gentle with yourself as you start to kind of unpack these things and decide what you are going to share and what you're going to be talking about on the day of. So if you have any other survivors that you'd like to see participate in this event, that you think it would be healthy for them, please do invite them. And then feel free in the next couple of days to just send out a tweet or a post and just let people know that what you're doing and why you're doing it. If you need some help creating some crafty little Instagram images, I found canva.com, and that's CANVA. Is amazing, super easy. It makes you look really, really smart and talented with the graphic design stuff, which who doesn't want to look more talented than they are? You can use that to create some of your own promotional material. You can even use that to create some of the stuff that you are going to be posting on the actual day of. So
the day of, Tashmica,
yeah.
you mentioned the 21st, but everything else says the 20th.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, the 20th. Don't listen to me. Listen to
Just
Drew. He's right.
want to make sure we're clear on that.
Yeah, October 20th from midnight till October 21st at midnight. And I did it from midnight to midnight because time zones. I don't know where you are. And I just figured we'd just make it a clean cut like that. So yes, October 20th. Thank you, Drew.
Sure.
Let's see, what else do we have here? All right, so before you begin, I would love for you to start your day with a trigger warning. I've written a couple that I included in the PDF that you can use and cut and paste and edit as you see fit, because the worst thing that could happen for me, and for me, if the worst thing that could come from this event is hurting someone who maybe is not ready to hear these stories in their safe place, which might be their social media. So just put a trigger warning. It invites people to block you if it's going to be something that's going to be harmful for them. And you want to give people that opportunity. So I've written one for Twitter and for Facebook, and if the Twitter one will work fine for Instagram if you're going to be sharing on Instagram. But just make sure that you include the words trigger warning or TW before all of your posts on October 20th. We want to make sure that we're keeping people safe, and that's really important. So let's see. Okay, if you want to be included in the thread when someone searches why I told, you'll need to make sure that your accounts are public for that 24-hour period. So it doesn't mean your entire account needs to be public, but whenever you post your status update, you'll want to make sure that it's public on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or else no one will see it as a part of the thread. Now, if you don't care about it being a part of the thread, I don't care about it either. I don't need you to make a public statement that goes out to strangers if you're not comfortable with that. But it's really kind of an interesting thing to be able to share all those stories together and be able to read them all as a thread. And I know people will be searching for them. So just a word on social media, if you want your words to be included, you'll want to make sure to do that. Be visible. Use things that maybe you don't have to use words. Maybe use an important image of a place that was really special to you, or a piece of art, or tattoos. I love tattoos, and I feel like I mark milestones in them. So if there's ever anything like that that you want to use rather than using your words. It's totally cool. The important thing is that you're telling your story the way that you would tell it. So please do. And if you're on Twitter and you send me a shout out at Tashmica Torok, I'll add you to the Why I Told list on Facebook, and I'll follow you for some of the day until I take my own little self-care breaks. So I do have some prompts here for everyone, and we can go over these one at a time. But so far, does anybody have any questions? Drew, do you see any questions? Because I think
I
you
don't
saw
see.
someone. Huh?
I saw something. I saw something on YouTube,
Yeah.
but that was just the one, and I don't
Yeah.
know where to find anything else.
I don't see anybody posting any comments here. So I'm gonna, let's see. There's the chat. So I feel like we should be able to see if anybody has any questions. Oh, that's not okay. Yeah. Well, if anybody has any questions.
I can see where you posted something on group chat, but
Yeah. So I'm guessing no one has any questions. Cool. Awesome. We'll just keep going then. So the first thing is, as far as prompts, is just your story. So what is your story? How old were you? Who was your perpetrator? When did it start? When did it end? And then how did it make you feel? This is going to be, for some of you, especially if it's your first time sharing so publicly, this is where you're going to start, just the very basics. And don't feel pressured to fill in my blanks. I don't need to know anything that you're not willing to share. You're not going to be excluded from the event if you don't answer every question. You don't even have to respond to every single prompt. This is just something to help you get your story, get your creative juices flowing, and to really start thinking about what you're going to share on October 20th. And then we'll talk about your silence. This whole event is based around the idea of me spending 365 days of shouldering my father's burden of the trauma that I experienced. And so how long were you silent? Why didn't you say anything sooner? And that's not from the perspective of, victim blaming, but really, why didn't you? What was it that held you back? I know for me, I really dreaded the idea of ruining my father's reputation. What I know now is that I was not responsible for his reputation, but I definitely felt that way when I was 8 years old. What were you afraid of? What happened in your world to indicate that you couldn't speak up or that you shouldn't? So what was happening in your family and your life that told you that this was not a safe place for you to open up about your experiences? The next prompt is why you told. So what changed? So last year, I think I talked about the time I told my teacher, but since then, and since I've been doing some, thinking about my memoir, I realized that I told a school-aged friend first. And so for me, I might be answering that question a little bit differently this year because, our experiences are all multifaceted, but I find it really interesting that I kind of tested the story on someone my own age first to see what the response would be. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I think a lot of children probably do that. And so just some interesting behind the scenes information that you may or may not need, but just to think about how you're telling your story. Who believed you? Why do you think they did? How did their faith in you feel? And what would you say to them about it now? I think it's really important to recognize the people that were there for you, that really did support you through the process of opening up about your trauma experience, that kind of helped you on your way to healing. And then who didn't believe you? How did that affect you? What was their reasoning and how did it make you feel? On the flip side of that, I think it's also important to examine the ways you were treated badly, because that's how people learn not to do that to other people, right? It's our stories that teach people around us how their lack of empathy has affected others. And so be honest. Now, I'm not saying to put your cousin on blast. I'm not saying that. But if that's what feels right for you, I'm not judging. I just want you to know that this is not, again, this is no script. You don't have to do anything that's going to be detrimental to your relationships right now in the moment. But this is, again, it's important to recognize how our culture does not support the openness of victims when they've been victimized. So after telling your story for the first time, did you retreat or did you charge forward? I think some people tell the story for the first time, have a terrible experience, and never say a word again for many, many years. And some people tell their story and they have a really wonderful, beautiful experience, and it becomes a really pivotal moment for them and they're able to move forward. But I think that experience of how you are heard the first time will color the way that you make your decisions moving forward. So, what happened after you told your story for the first time? Were you able to move forward, or did you have a terrible experience and you didn't? And then how did that change? This is part 2. What about later? When did you decide it was okay to be more outspoken about your experience? And when did you decide it wasn't? Why and what changed? So for me, I think that there was a period in my life where I found out that my father's family didn't know because they lived in a different place than I did. And everyone else knew. Everyone knew. I never kept it a secret. So everyone knew, from my friends to my mother's side of the family. And then I moved away and I stopped talking about it altogether because I just didn't know how to approach it again. It felt very much like that year of silence again. Like, how am I supposed to tell these people who raised my father that he was sexually violent? I don't want to be the one to do that. And it took me, I think, 2 years before I finally called someone in the family and said, this is what happened. And, was able to kind of move past that and that second period of silence for myself. So the next prompt is finding your voice through what? So how did you find your voice? How did you discover, what you wanted to say and how it was important to everyone or to yourself? And how did you decide that? Was it through art? Was it through music? Was it through friends, solidarity, a support group, another survivor, family member, a lover? What was it that changed your perspective on your voice, and how did you find it? And then speaking out, I have to blow, what does it say? What did I say about this? Speaking out, writing out, dancing it out. So what creative ways have you discovered to communicate your story, and where have you showcased this work, or do you keep it private, or both? And how has this helped you heal? So there's a large amount of what I do or say that is not public, which, I mean, mind-blowing sometimes. Because I feel like people think I just say everything that, that crosses my mind. That's not true. I do actually have some things I've never told anybody and that I won't tell anybody. There's pieces of my story that even I find to be just incredibly painful and that no one, including me, wants to ever hear those things again. And maybe that'll change. Maybe in 5 or 10 years, I'll decide that that's not the way I feel about it anymore, but today it is. So how do you communicate those pieces of your story that maybe you don't put on blast to the rest of the world? So, and then who found you there? Once you raised your voice, who did you find shouting next to you? Who did you find in your corner? I think this is another important piece about the people you find to support you. So, you probably have a friend or someone who came alongside you once you started being more vocal that really understood you and listened and really honored your bravery and your journey. And I think recognizing that is a practice of gratitude, because I know there's people in my life that I would not have healed to the point that I am now if they were not here. So what's next? The final prompt is, what's next for you on your healing journey? What do you still need to accept, let go of, attempt, forgive? What do you want from sharing your story? So it's actually, we went to a cemetery just recently for the Soulfire calendar. And I was going to take this image of me dancing on a grave because for the whole year, I've been thinking to myself that my work with survivors feels like I'm dancing on my father's grave. It just does. That's what it feels like. I don't know why I'm so attracted to the idea of acts of defiance, but that's what it feels like. And maybe because my father was very controlling. It's probably true. We're just discovering all kinds of things about me today. But I think I dressed up in, combat boots, and like I did my hair all crazy, and I told Heather I wanted her to do my makeup and my hair like I wanted to get into a fight, which, what does that even mean? And so we go out to the cemetery and we're taking pictures, and I realize as I'm standing, first of all, these graves were like maybe 100 years old. We went to a really old cemetery because I also didn't want to dance on anybody's grave whose person was still alive, because that's rude, right? But I got there and I thought, I'm really not the kind of girl that dances on graves. This is not really who I am. I don't, even though, yes, this feels a lot like an act of defiance. Everything that I do feels like the opposite of what my father did to me, which is wonderful. But I've also spent a lot of time thinking through what it would mean to forgive him, and how often I've had to go through that process. Every time something comes up that I have to go to therapy for to heal, I feel like it's another opportunity. And I can't even believe sometimes that I use that word, but it's an opportunity to forgive him again, to go through that process again, and to constantly be accepting lessons on forgiveness and restoration and reclamation, instead of anger, which I still have, and I think anger is totally fine too. But you can't live in anger forever. And so, well, I mean, you can. I mean, you most definitely can. I don't recommend it, but I don't want to. And so we ended up taking this picture, and if you come to the gallery reveal, you'll see it. But it actually, we didn't get the photo, or I thought we didn't. We left, and I was tired. I'd already had a full day of shooting with other survivors, and I just thought maybe our juju was off. Jenna and I connect really well, and everything that we do together feels very natural. And I just felt like this did not feel right. And so we left, and she just sent me the image, and it's perfect. It's perfect. And I'm not dancing on graves. I'm actually walking out of a cemetery at an angle, and I'm facing this really big tree. And it's perfect. It's everything that I'm all about, kind of walking out of this grave and straight into this thing that is a metaphor for big, healthy, rooted, amazing life. And so I think recognizing what's next is always, I mean, obviously you won't always know what's coming next, because I had no idea I was going to walk into that cemetery and not want to dance on a grave. I thought I wanted to. I thought that's what I was doing already. But maybe for me, it's not about dancing on graves. Maybe it's about walking out of a cemetery, walking out of the graveyard and leaving that all behind. So I think doing some reflection on what's next for you in your healing journey when you're writing your story is also important. So a couple other things that I just wanted to point out, just because last year, I did this last year and it went really, really well. But I also recognize a couple things that are important that I want you to put into your practice this year if you're going to participate. I want you to take breaks. I want you to take breaks from reading and writing during the day. I want you to make a decision now about how often you plan on posting, and how, how many times you plan on posting. And it's okay if you do more or you do less, but maybe that will help with the anxiety. Someone mentioned in the Facebook group, what do I do about my, I'm still hearing my dad's voice telling me that I'm not allowed to tell this story. And so maybe it will help decrease some of your anxiety about doing this if you plan ahead that maybe you're only going to post one story. That's it. And you'll be done for the day. Or maybe you set a goal to write a half of the prompts, or pick one that really speaks to you and let that be your post for the day. Or maybe you make a goal of sharing 3 images that are really powerful and important to you, that really talk about your healing. Or maybe you focus on the gratitude portions, who was there for you, who's still there for you, and how having that person in your corner has really changed the way that you've lived your life after the trauma. And so I think those are two really important tips. I probably should have started with them, but when I look back at how last year went, I think having a goal about how many times you're going to share, what you're going to share about, and maybe planning some activities that day that pull you off of social media would be a really great way to do it. I have a lot of things going on the 20th and 21st. I just happen to be really lucky on those days. I have like a conference I have to go to, and I'm reading stories at this Create and Destroy pop-up storytelling event, and then I have a board meeting. So for me, I'm going to have plenty of things to distract me and pull me away from this event. But I think it's really important to, maybe you don't need to jam pack your schedule, but maybe have a couple things that'll pull your focus off of this for a minute during the day. I think there was, let's see, is there anything else that I want to tell you about this? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Does anybody have any questions so far? Every time I say that, Drew, you make that face.
I don't know what
I don't see any questions.
No.
Yeah, and I'm on the Google Hangout. I don't know if there are other people on YouTube. I'm not.
I look at YouTube every once in a while, and I don't see any more comments.
Oh, I see. Let's see.
It says 5 watching now. And oh, somebody else commented.
Yeah, I see that.
Is this where I should be?
Yes, this
Someone
is where
else
you're
can hear.
supposed to be. I think you can. Well, that's good that you can hear us.
Yeah, somebody else can hear us, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see any other questions. If anybody has any questions, you can definitely, we have a Facebook group for support, but I'm not going to be extending those invitations to just anybody, so you'll need to sign up for that just to protect who's in the group. I want to make sure that I know who you are, because haters going to hate, am I right? And I don't want any haters in our group. So make sure that you sign up on the registration link if you want to be a part of that group. And you can find me, you can email me, tashmicatorak@gmail.com. You can tweet at me. You can message me on Facebook. It'll probably go in my other box, but I'll keep an eye on that. And you can also message me on my public page, which is probably the best because I'll be able to get a hold of that really easy. But I think that's it. I don't think I have any other tips for you guys. Just checking to see if I got a message. Oh, okay. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or if you need any additional support, and we're good to go. So your first assignment is to do the things that I mentioned, making some goals for the day and planning some things to get you away from your computer on October 20th, and maybe posting a preview to let people know that you're participating on October 20th. So with that being said, I am going to go finish writing a grant.
Oh, fun.
Yes. Well, yes, that's, I got to finish it, you guys.
Oh, I'm sure.
Huh?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I got to get that done tonight, but that's okay. I've had lots of fun this weekend, so.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I took lots of breaks this weekend, so, and I think I'm taking tomorrow off too, so we'll see. Cross your fingers. If I get this grant done, I'm taking tomorrow off. So everybody, cross your fingers, light your candles, say your prayers, all of those things. And I will see you on October 20th.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.